Hey guys, Ket here. I know I'm a bit late to the party, as I want to complete all of 1.0 before I shared my thoughts, and I also started a couple weeks late, so it took me even longer to get a review out on Arknights Endfield. In fact, I actually originally did not even plan on playing the game, as the idea of a factory management system sounded overwhelming and not my cup of tea. However, a friend recommended it to me, so I thought to try it out because why not, it's free after all. So here's the status of my account now. My factories are utilized, I'm making endgame gear and try to maximize profits with the settlement trading. I have a few 6-star units, including 2 copies of Levitain, or however you say it, which I actually did not want because I wanted Yvonne, but I digress. I have a few units at the highest level I can get. I'm not tryharding the hardest content. I've explored everything I can and done all side quests I could find. So basically, I'm trying to 100% everything but the super hardcore endgame stuff. So I will be going through all the systems I can think of to break down my thoughts on Arknights Endfield. Let's start with the graphics. I love them, absolutely beautiful. The cell shading gives everything a smooth look that I haven't seen in other anime gachas so far. I really like it. The environments are also well made, with Wooling of course being absolutely stunning. It took me a very long time to get to Wooling, as I was doing everything in Valley 4 before that, and everyone was hyping it up, so my expectations were already high, but after arriving there, it exceeded my expectations. It's beautiful. And to top it all, the game runs great. I've only had 2 endless loadings in a cutscene early on and then no issues. So as someone with a cursed PC, this was a really pleasant relief. The characters. The designs for some characters are underwhelming for my taste, particularly the 4-star characters, but I guess that's to be expected. But others are great, with great use of vibrant colors and cute outfits that I really like Yvonne, the love of my life. I would also like to point out a detail that I love is that the eye colors are so beautifully drawn, I can't get enough of them. And I really like the variety in the designs, the fact that we get characters with animal features, ranging from just pointy ears to full-on pandas that fight with a great sword. I really like the variety. I know it's been a thing in Arknights, but I'm a new player in the universe, so I really find this very cute and interesting visually. The combat, I love that you have your entire party out at the same time. This is different from other gachas I've played so far. What I don't like about most gachas is that you have to switch around and you only see one character at a time. The fact that you can have your entire party out with you in combat makes everything feel much more fun to me. I'll touch upon that more when I talk about the exploration. The combos and synergy system is great, but it is also necessary to understand in order to succeed. For example, early on I got the 6-star character last right, so as I love the design and I wanted to use my most powerful characters, I put her in my party right away. So it was a while later that I realized that she was never utilized in combat, she rarely charged her ultimate, and she never had combos with my team. This is because the rest of the squad synergized with each other, but not with her. So I had to put her aside in favor of a team that synergized better together. So yeah, building a party around your preferred character is a bit more complex than just putting the highest level characters and hoping for the best. However, when the party synergy works, it feels badass. So I definitely like the combat, the perfect dodging, the combos, everything. Definitely one of my favorite combat systems. Unfortunately, upgrading the characters eventually relies on stamina and the process is super slow. At the beginning, you level up by just exploring, but eventually this stops being a thing and you have to rely on experience items. I wish the amount of XP you gained while exploring harder areas was increasing enough to make it a viable strategy to level up the characters by exploring. But no, the stamina system is like most gachas, it's you run out of stamina, then you have to wait, and it's super slow, especially if you want to level up multiple units, and I'm definitely not a fan of that. Now let's talk about the exploration and how it ties up to one of my favorite parts of the game, the fact that your entire party is out with you. As you explore, you feel like you have company, which I love, and they are not just silent companions that just follow you either. As you explore, they will point out points of interest, see a couple of lines here and there. It actually plays a huge part in making the exploration feel more pleasant for me, as I feel like I'm traveling with my party and not just by myself. The fact that companions will point out loot and other things reminds me of Dragon's Dogma, which is one of my absolute favorite games, so definitely a huge plus for me. They even help with farming and it's really cute. As for the rest of the exploration, I loved it. I love exploring every inch of the map and finding all loot and collectibles. Each area has plenty to explore and discover, and 100% in the map, as much as I could without guides, was one of my favorite parts of the game. It was only in Wooling City that I felt a bit overwhelmed, as there was just so much packed close together. And I hated the frog puzzles, and I hope they never use them again. As for the story, I had heard people complaining about it a lot, that it's really weak, that it doesn't make sense, etc. But after playing through the story, I have to say I don't really get it. Yes, there are a lot of things I didn't fully understand or have questions about, particularly about the Endmen and why they are put in hibernation and they are being taken out every 10 years and things like that. And also why the characters you summon are actually clones or something like that. I don't know, maybe this was explained or told in a data entry, but I missed it. But everything else felt fine to follow for now. If you want a story where you don't understand what's going on most of the time, play Warframe's early game, now that's confusing. In comparison, I found the story in Arknights just fine. In fact, I really liked it and I'm looking forward to the next part. I really like the characters, I love the quests for Yvonne, Levitain and Wolfguard. And I also really like the Endmin, the protagonist. I like that the memory loss is not just a footnote to excuse a blank slate. It is brought up a lot and is a plot point. And Endmin even shows uncertainty and complicated feelings about the expectations people put on them. I also love that the Endmin talks at certain points. I would love it if they were fully voiced, but I'll take it over a fully mute protagonist like we get in most other gachas. The presentation and cutscenes are also very well made and great to watch. The music is also good. And another thing that I realized I like a ton is that we don't have a stupid mascot like Paimon or Abby or Snow from Do It Night Abyss. There is still humor, but there isn't a comic relief exclusive character. Yes, we have Chen, but she's a full, grown character with her own motivations and stuff. She's not just a mascot, you know what I mean? I found that so much better. As for the ending of the story 1.0, I do have to agree with others that mentioned it. It does end pretty abruptly. So yeah, it definitely, they left us hanging a little bit. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the next part of the story. So I almost forgot to talk about the factory, which is funny, as you eventually will be spending a ton of time on it. There is definitely a big learning curve if you don't use blueprints, but man, when you manage to get a good efficiency going on in your factory, it feels super satisfying. It definitely took some heavy trial and error for me, as one time I logged in to find my power at 0 and had to literally scrap everything and start over to be able to get my power back. It was devastating. But as someone that was super intimidated by the factory and is definitely not a fan of systems like this or other games that focus on factory building and stuff like that, I have to say that once you understand it, it is super addicting. The factory management itself is like an entire game, and that's good because it's well made and fun to work with. You don't have to engage with it much and can use blueprints if you don't want to think of good setups yourself, but figuring things out myself and then logging in to find my factory had been working perfectly overnight with a bunch of goods to now sell is awesome. So that is most of the main systems talked about. Of course, there are a ton more subsystems, the trading, the deliveries and things like that. There's a ton of different activities to do, which I love. Yes, they overdo it with the tutorials, but at least when you are through them, everything makes sense. So let me briefly touch upon the gacha as a free-to-play player. I hear that the PT system and everything is really bad, and I trust the players that say this. I just don't focus much on it personally, as I've only ever engaged in gacha as a casual free-to-play player. I have to say that I do like that the limited banner has a chance to give you characters from the next limited banners if you fail your 50-50. I find that pretty cool, I haven't seen that before. Unfortunately, I had started investing in the limited banner before finding out that Yvonne is amazing and would love to have her way more than Levitate, but at that point I had invested too much of my free-to-play pools on the banner, so I had to keep going. I was hoping I would fail my 50-50 and get Yvonne, but sadly the one time I don't want to win a 50-50 ended with me getting the limited character twice. Hopefully I'll have enough free-to-play pools to get Yvonne on her banner when it comes. While I was playing, I could not get Pogranitsnik, the character I wanted from the standard banner, so in my feedback I told them that it was very disappointing that I was getting other characters, and I was going to mention it in my review that I wished they put a selector straight away, and they actually did it, and they gave us a selector now for the standard banner, so that's awesome. Kudos, very well done. And it shows that they're listening, so yes, very good. I think that about covers everything I can think of for now. To summarize, I love the game. I find it one of the best 1.0 experiences I've had in a gacha game actually. The amount of content here is huge. In fact, when I go to Wuling, even though it's not complete, it felt like I was stepping into the next big content patch. I definitely think this is one of the better free-to-play games I've played, and it would stand on its own even without the gacha, which is sadly there. I know that there are people that are saying that there is no good endgame and things like that, but yes, I would of course love to have a ton of things to do every day on the game and keep playing, but I'm not the type of player that cares a lot about that, as in my opinion, as I already spent 100 of hours doing everything in 1.0, it makes sense that I have to wait for the next patch. So yes, I would wish that there was more content to do after you finish the 1.0 story, but you know, it's fine for me personally. Anyway, so those were my thoughts and review, let's say, on Arknights Endfield. Let me know your thoughts below, and if you'd like me to cover more Arknights Endfield content. I would love to hear from you. See ya!